Hello! Welcome to English for Shared. Here, you learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's go!
Promises in the Wind. Some love stories are born from simplicity and grow nourished by hope. Others bloom amid struggle, poverty, and the faith of two hearts that believe in each other, even when the world seems to conspire against them. This is the story of Peter and Mary, two young people from humble backgrounds whose paths crossed in school. Together they dreamed. Together they fought. But dreams have wings, and sometimes they fly far away, and sometimes they fly in opposite directions. Peter was a teenager known in the neighborhood for his politeness and dedication. Raised by his grandmother after being abandoned by his parents, he learned early on the weight of responsibility. He did a bit of everything and picked up new things easily. He worked as a waiter at a small downtown restaurant where he served everyone with a smile and sincere attention. Peter never gave up on his studies. He studied hard, often into the late hours of the night and even on weekends. He dreamed of a better life, even if he didn't know exactly how to reach it. At school, he was quiet and focused. Teachers and the principal always praised Peter. He was always willing to help. Then, one ordinary morning, he noticed a shy-looking girl. He thought she might need help. Her name was Mary. It was the first time Peter felt something different, something that made him nervous, something he couldn't quite explain. Mary had just moved to the city with her mother and two younger siblings. She was beautiful, wore simple clothes, carried an old notebook in her hands, and had a wary look in her eyes. She sat in the last row, trying to hide from the world. At recess, Peter approached her. "Are you new here?" he asked, with a sincere smile. With a shy look, she answered, "Yes." "Do you need anything?" he asked, trying to start a conversation. "Yes, a good friend," she replied, awkwardly. From that moment on, they became inseparable friends. They studied together, talked about their lives, shared snacks and dreams. In the shade of a tree in the schoolyard, a friendship blossomed that soon turned into love. Their relationship started shyly, full of glances, smiles, and folded notes hidden in notebooks. Everyone noticed how their eyes sparkled. Some even said they completed each other. They had no luxuries. They dated sitting on the curb, on park benches, walked hand in hand to their homes, and shared what little they had. Mary worked as a housekeeper on weekends. Her mother had found her the job because they were in need. Rent and food for the siblings had to be covered. Peter worked nights as a waiter. They were both tired, but determined. They dreamed of getting married, having children, traveling, and helping their families. But first, they wanted to study to make those dreams come true. One night after work, they met like usual. Peter said, "Mary, have you ever thought about becoming a lawyer?" She laughed. "Peter, I can barely study now. Where would I find the time and money for college?" "I'll help you. I'll start working weekends too. You have to try. After you graduate and start earning well, we'll be happier. Then we can get married and live out our plans." From that day on, Peter saved every penny he could. He bought books, paid for study materials, printed old exams. He reviewed with her until dawn. It was beautiful to see them so committed to building a better life. "It's the first step toward making our dreams come true," Peter would say. Mary passed the college entrance exam for law school. It was a day of celebration in the neighborhood. Peter cried with joy. "You did it, Mary! I knew it! You were born for this!" During college, Peter continued working hard. He encouraged Mary to stay focused on her studies. He barely slept, but never missed their study sessions. He went with her to exams, brought her coffee, printed her assignments. He was her support system. He imagined their future, living in a cozy home with a garden and children running around. But then, Peter started to notice Mary pulling away. She no longer looked at him with the same spark. She got irritable easily. He thought it was just stress. After all, she was studying and working. But deep down, he felt her slipping away. Mary made new friends and seemed happier around them. She started going to places where Peter didn't feel comfortable. Her speech changed. She mocked Peter's way of talking. Her behavior was different. When he called, she took longer to answer. And when they were together, it just didn't feel the same anymore. Peter felt anguished, sad. He suffered in silence, hiding his pain so he wouldn't disturb Mary's studies. But the pain in his heart would soon become reality. On a rainy afternoon, Mary asked to talk. "Peter, we need to stop here," she said, coldly. "Stop what? Why? What happened?" he asked, feeling a tightness in his chest and the urge to cry. "Peter, I've changed. Life took me on a different path. You've always been important to me, but now we come from different worlds." He said nothing. The words wouldn't come. What came instead was an overwhelming urge to cry, to scream, to break down. "You promised we'd dream together," he whispered, voice trembling. "And you helped me dream, Peter, but now I need to move on. We don't belong to the same universe anymore. We can still be friends if you want." "But what about our dreams, our plans?" he asked, now in tears. She just looked at him and didn't answer. She walked away without looking back. He stood there crying in the rain. His heart shattered. Peter blamed himself. He asked over and over what he did wrong, what he had done to deserve that. Questions flooded his mind like a storm, but his heart found no answers. Peter suffered in silence. Hours, days, weeks. It was a dark and painful time. But he didn't give up on himself. He used the pain as fuel. He needed to move forward. He went back to studying, took technical courses, got a small loan, and opened a little food delivery business, cooking everything himself. He worked double shifts, but felt like he was rebuilding, that healing had finally begun. He smiled again. Life had color once more. Over time, the business grew. What began in a cramped kitchen became a neighborhood restaurant. Then 2, then 3. Soon, Peter owned a chain of popular restaurants, respected and recognized. On the wall of his office hung a framed quote, "All I needed was to believe I deserved to win too." Years later, Peter was invited to give a lecture on resilience and entrepreneurship at a university. It was a moment of recognition. He accepted. It was his chance to inspire other young people like him. In the audience, as he shared his journey, his eyes met a familiar face. It was Mary. She was well-dressed, now a lawyer, but her eyes carried a silent longing. When the lecture ended, she waited for him in the hallway. "Peter, you made it. I've watched you from afar. I'm proud of you." He smiled calmly. "It's good to see you, Mary." "Sometimes I think about everything I left behind," she said, looking at him with love in her eyes. He looked into hers. "I don't hold grudges. Everything we went through taught me who I am. You were part of that." She took a deep breath, fighting back tears. "If I could go back in time..." "Time doesn't go back, Mary, but we move forward, stronger, with more faith. I moved on, and so can you." He held her hand gently, but without attachment. And in that moment, Peter knew the truest love he needed to grow was the love he had to learn for himself. He didn't look at her with resentment. He didn't need to prove anything. His success spoke for itself. But more than that, his peace was the truest proof of all. She left again, but this time, Peter didn't stand in the rain looking back. He walked out of the building, breathed in the fresh afternoon air, and felt the wind on his face like an old friend. He walked the now familiar city streets, thinking about all he had lived, and then, with teary eyes, he whispered to himself, "Thank you, Mary, for teaching me that the love that transforms is the one that grows inside. I had to lose you to find myself, and today I found myself." In the end, life didn't give him the love he expected, but it gave him something much more rare: the chance to become who he was born to be. And that he would never give up again. The end.